Welcome back to this special edition of Politics Nation, live from Montgomery, Alabama. This afternoon in Billings, Montana, federal judge Richard Siebel had the gall to go back to work, sitting in judgment of others, despite growing calls from across the country for him to resign. Siebel is the judge who emailed a joke suggesting the president's late mother had sex with a dog, and then tried to explain it by admitting he was, quote, anti-Obama. It's outrageous. The judge tries to spin a racist email by admitting his political bias. By our count, Siebel has violated all 5 rules in the Judicial Code of Conduct. He failed to uphold personal standards of conduct. He's failed to promote the integrity of the bench. He's failed to disqualify himself amid questions about impartiality. He's failed to promote the dignity of the office, and he's failed to avoid publicly supporting or opposing a political candidate. This is a stunning record, and the controversy is growing. 2,400 people now have signed an online petition in Montana demanding Siebel's resign. The New York Times, the Billings Gazette, and a host of legal and public interest groups are joining numerous elected officials in saying Siebel has to go. I've said it the day it broke. I say it again. This judge cannot sit in his chambers using federal email and send out such ugly, vile things at public expense. We need to not only have his resignation, we need to find out who has stood before him and who may have been victimized by his obvious bias and discrimination. Let me bring on now, joining me is Congressman Steve Cohen, Democrat from Tennessee, who serves on the Judiciary Committee in the House. Congressman, thank you for being here tonight. Let me get right to it. Shouldn't his behavior be investigated by Congress?
Chairman Conyers, former Judiciary Chairman, and I'm the ranking member on the Courts Committee, have asked Chairman Smith to have hearings. Indeed, there's a definite issue about his continuing on the bench and the effect it'll have on the judiciary. We think hearings should be held, and we're awaiting Chairman Smith's response.
Now, Chairman Smith is the chairman of House Judiciary. You and John Conyers have asked for hearings. Assuming that you get hearings, this judge would then come before the House Committee to explain how he used federal property to distribute these vile and racist emails?
Well, we certainly could ask him to attend. I don't think he would be required to attend. There is a separation of powers. But I think if there were hearings, I think he would attend. I think he'd want to attend, and I think he'd want to give any defense he might have. It certainly looks indefensible. It's certainly racist. It's disgusting, and it doesn't reflect well on the bench. And I think that the judge should welcome the opportunity to clear his name if he can. Otherwise, there's a stain on his name as well as the judiciary. And when you're a judge, you're supposed to be like Caesar's wife and be beyond reproach. That's why the canons exist, and it does seem as you mentioned, he's violated several of the canons.
Now, Congressman, what could be the possible reasoning or logic that Chairman Smith would not have hearings given the gravity of what this judge has done?
Well, that's a decision for Chairman Smith to make, and it may be whatever the agenda is. We don't have that much of an agenda right now. Some of the time we have in Congress right now, other than having Senator McConnell's mission of defeating President Obama, that's kind of stalled because they've realized that's hurt the Republicans, and they tried to become more collegial and working with us a little more because it's hurt them. So I don't know what Chairman Smith's position would be. He's a gentleman, and I hope that he will do what I think is the best thing for the judiciary, and that's to have a hearing.
Now, this judge was a Bush appointee, and presidents appoint federal judges. Therefore, is it not fair that we question those running for president, their opinion of what this judge did to the sitting president of the United States and said about his late mother?
I think it'd be an appropriate question indeed. It's disrespectful of the office, it's disrespectful of the Constitution, it's disrespectful of African Americans, and it's disrespectful of women. I mean, beyond that, there's not a whole lot left that he hasn't disrespected. But I think it's a germane question to any of the Republican candidates who are running for the opportunity to be on the ballot next fall.
Congressman Cohen, let me raise this. If you were to get hearings and had this judge sitting in front of you and you're the ranking Democrat on Judiciary in the House, what would you ask Judge Siebel if you had him sitting in the Judiciary Committee in front of you?
I would like to ask him about other incidences that might have occurred. I'd like to see his other emails. I know that he says he rarely did he send the jokes along, but this one seems to touch him in a special way. I mean, it was just sick when I read the fact that he said he was touched and wanted other people to be touched as he was. I'd like to know what other emails jokes he might have emailed, what else he uses his email for, and what's his position's been in the past on civil rights cases, his record on civil rights cases, his records when, and even in Montana, I presume he's had a diverse group of defendants before him in criminal cases and how he's ruled, and if there's been any distinction in the way he's judged African Americans or Latinos or other minorities before him in criminal cases that's distinguished from Caucasians.
Now, let me say this to you, Congressman, so this might even help your Chairman Smith understand. There are people across the political spectrum that has raised this. I have gone to dinner once or twice with a guy who doesn't agree with me on anything, who, to my surprise, came out very publicly and agreed on this. Look at this.
But is this judge fit to serve?
Well,
see, if I were the judge, Judge Siebel, and this is with all due respect, I would have resigned.
At least, though, he did try to make some steps forward to do something.
No, you can't do that. All right, you can't do that. Some things you just can't come back from.
Bill O'Reilly has said the judge will resign, and some things you can't walk back from. Even Bill O'Reilly can be right on some issues. But as I always say, Congressman, a broke clock is right twice a day. Congressman Cohen, thanks so much for your time.
I just want you to know, I think you look great, and I think that Rush Limbaugh's been eating too many French fries. Not many of them slip away from his throat.
Thank you, Congressman. At least thank you for my part of your assessment.